Hey everyone, Jennifer Lee Chan here from NBC Sports Bay Area. Took a look at a lot of the stats from that 49ers Las Vegas preseason second game, week two of the preseason game. And a lot of the stuff kind of makes sense, right? You have good games from a lot of different players, but also some more challenging games for some other players. But let's go through the good stuff first. I looked at the PFF grades, and the top three guys, Jalen Mahoney, which is who we thought he had a lot of great plays, tackles, stop, interception, and so, he had a great game. Also, Chase Lucas, also a standout on defense. One guy who I didn't watch a ton of, but I watched him give a couple pretty heavy hits, Luke Gifford. He always seemed to be around when there was a tackle being made in the midfield. So Luke Gifford was another guy. Top defensive lineman was Kalia Davis. He was out there making a bunch of plays. So let's go through the pressures. Of the pressures, the most for the defensive line, Trevis Gibson. Four total pressures, one sack, and three hurries. So he's a guy that could make a case for him being on, the rotational side of the defensive line. Jalen Allen, three pressures, two hits, one hurry. Kalia Davis, two pressures. They were two hurries. Also made some tackles. He had a tackle. So, I've heard from Tim Ryan that Kalia Davis is playing really well. Of course, he played a little earlier in the game, going against more of like the ones and twos as opposed to Travis Gibson, Jalen Allen, who are playing a little bit later. They usually are going against the twos and the threes. Sebastian Valdez, one pressure. It was one hit. Uh, Another guy who was obviously very good, Nicholas Martin. Nick Martin had a great game, such a bounce back game. He was my most improved player of the week. Looking at his first preseason game versus his second preseason game, much, much better. Nick Martin, one sack. I thought that was a great play. Four tackles. He did have two misses, but four stops. And, he was targeted five times, four completions for 23 yards. Not a ton of yardage. Yes, it was four completions, but for 23 yards, not terrible. So nice plays from Nick Martin. Now, Alfred Collins had one pressure. It was just one hurry. Bruce Hector, one hurry. Damone Harris, one sack. William Bradley King, he had one hurry. Chase Lucas, another guy who had a great game, like we talked about, one sack, one tackle, and just he was targeted four times. He allowed two receptions for 16 yards. He had the pick. Just a great game from Chase Lucas. Another pressure from Chaz Surratt. That was a hit. And Bryce Huff got a hurry. Bryce Huff, I feel like is getting a lot of movement in the pocket, a lot of pressure. So I think he's going to be a guy who's going to get more opportunities with once the season starts. And I think he's going to be great once he's paired along with Nick Bosa. Now, guys who didn't play, we talked about this. Nick Bosa, Fred Warner did not play at all. Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Fred Warner. So there were a lot of first team guys out. George Kittle was only in there for a series. Brock Purdy was in there for a series. And I think you see how the backups were kind of playing after that. As far as missed tackles, Nick Martin had two missed tackles. Tatum Bethune had one. Diamador Lenore had one. That was, wow, I think that one's going to be one that he would like to have back. Right into Ashton Genty, bounced off, fell onto the turf, and I'm sure he would like to have that one back. Just needed to get a little lower, a little bit more leverage. He kind of had his pads a little high. It is preseason. Better that it happens in preseason. I'm sure he would like to have that play back, though. Curtis Robinson missed one and Chase Lucas missed one. So on the defense, overall an up and down game, but I think the fact that they're improving makes a huge difference. After the game, Kyle Shanahan talked about how he likes what he's seen from the defense, especially, let's see, what did he said here? Especially on, we asked him about Chase Lucas, and yes, he said he likes what he's seen. He's been excited about what he's been doing. Where did it go? He's like, I saw another pick. I saw him do a victory lap after. I didn't know if we were going to get him back. I think he went to both end zones when we started to play, but it seems like Chase had a really good game, and we'll see on the plane, but definitely showed up for him on the field. So as much as the injuries are hurting the defensive line right now, a lot of guys are out. You know, not a super impressive game where there was tons of pressures, but a reasonable game. So, I don't think it's the sky is falling, but I also don't think they're going to be these second team guys are the most amazing thing ever. But it's something they can work with. On the offensive side, when I look at PFF, um, the best scorers on offense: Brock Purdy, Demarcus Robinson, and Ricky Pearsall. Robbie Chosen also had a great game score grade wise. Not the best in run blocking, but definitely great in offense. I mean, he was out there a lot. Let's see, 4 pressures. Let's get that up. Third team had some challenges, especially on the offensive line. A ton of false starts down in the red zone, which led to not being able to get a touchdown and forcing a field goal. So a lot of stuff that needs to get cleaned up on the offense, especially in the second and third team. Drew Moss allowed 3 hurries. Isaiah Prince allowed 3 hurries. Nick Zakel allowed 1 hit, 2 hurries. Connor Colby allowed 1 hit, 1 hurry. Isaac Alarcon allowed a sack. Drake Nugent allowed a hit. And Spencer Burford, 1 hurry. So not terrible. They allowed altogether 14 hurries or 14 pressures. And on the defense, they caused 18. So in that sense, the offense did all right. When you have most of your starters not out there, it does make it not as clean, not as productive, but definitely those false starts, those pre-snap penalties have to get cleaned up. When I was watching the game again, there were some things that I saw. I saw that Jair Brown covering Brock Bowers on that 30-yard pass. Jair Brown had some good coverage, but the leap that he took when the ball was coming wasn't timed well. So it's just little things, timing the jump up so he can get his hand in there to get the ball down. Brock Bowers is obviously offensive rookie of the year, a guy who's going to be tough to cover. He made a ton of plays. So Jair Brown is competing with Marquise Siegel for that starting safety position. Tim Ryan on the broadcast thinks Jason Pinnock has the starting position locked down before Malik Mustafa makes his return. So Jair Brown, Marquise Siegel competing for that second position. I think it's impressive that Marquise Siegel has had such great communication, because that's what's key at safety, to have communication to make sure everything is set in the back end, make sure the secondary knows exactly what the play is being called. And, he's done a good job as a rookie. I think it's difficult for a rookie to come in and just be very communicative. I think it's tough. I think Jair Brown is making a case, though. He is, coming back from a tough second year. He was without Steve Wilkes last year. I mean, that was his guy. So as much as maybe the rest of the defense wasn't as connected to Steve Wilkes, Jair Brown was. And to lose a coach, I think, is challenging for a player. Sometimes players will feel like they don't have as much support. I mean, John Lynch's story about how he wasn't wanted on the team, and then later, ended up getting more playing time. I think that says a lot about how connected players are with their coaches. Hopefully Jair Brown stays locked in, and it sounds like he is, for a better third year than his second year. I talked about that missed tackle by De'Ami Lenore on Austin Genty. Austin Genty, man, he's he's a tough one to bring down. But I mean, he also got hit pretty hard. Tatum Bethune knocked him down pretty hard. He had to go to the tent, I think, for that one. But Tatum Bethune and D Winters have been laying the wood on the practice field and also in preseason games. They've been fun to watch. And, don't forget on Tatum Bethune. Is Nick Martin competing for that role? Is Tatum Bethune competing with D Winters? That's going to be a tough, very competitive situation right there. Tatum Bethune and Jair Brown. Not perfect though. That touchdown by Ashton Genty, both of them were over there. They could have, gotten a little lower, gotten a little more leverage. I think it was more on Jair Brown than Tatum Bethune, but both of them were down there. Jeff Wilson Jr. I thought had a great game. It was good to see him back. He ran with some power. Good to see him in there with that touchdown. Also being used as a receiver. I think until, you've got so many guys, Isaac Rendo with the shoulder injury, Patrick Taylor, shoulder injury, Jordan James, finger injury. I mean, he should be back soon, I would think. He's probably going to play with practice with the club on his hand. But Jeff Wilson Jr., good to have a guy like him available to step in as needed. Let's see what else. Demarcus Robinson had a great game. There's a catch, a 24-yard catch that he got right in the soft spot. He had 4 defenders around him. Great placement of the pass by Mac Jones, and a great catch by Demarcus Robinson, who I think, once he gets the whole suspension thing out of the way, I think he's going to be a big contributor for the 49ers. Brandon Ayuk, we saw him running the field. I did not get video of it. I know it's out there on social media, but I did get a video of him kind of jogging around with players on the field during pregame. He and Juwan Jennings have been very involved in the wide receivers meeting rooms, talking to Brock Purdy a lot. So I think, once they get back and they get healthy, they should hit the ground running, which I think will be good. Other plays that I thought were good, I saw Jake Tongas a lot out there as the leading blocker. He was in front of Jeff Wilson Jr. on one play. And, he and Braden Willis is, yes, they use him as a blocker, but I think they also see him more as a receiving tight end. I think he's going to get a chance this year to maybe catch more passes when they give George Kittle a break. Luke Farrell more as a blocking tight end. Braden Willis could be more used as a receiver. So those are kind of some of the things I saw when I went back and looked at the game, kind of looked at the stats and whatnot. I did look at some of the snap counts. Man, Chase Lucas was out there a lot. So Chase Lucas was out there the most snaps of any defender. He was out there for 52 snaps out of 84, or was 84% of all the snaps. So he's out there 52 snaps. The next closest defender that was out there was Jalen Mahoney. He was only out there for 32. So Chase Lucas by far was having a great time out there. He was out there for 52 snaps, which is 84%, which is a lot. Jalen Mahoney, Nick Martin, Saron Neal, Derek Canteen were all out there for 32 snaps. Trayvon Gibson was out there for 31. Outside of that, most of the guys were out there for about 25 to 30 snaps. Let's see. Dallas Flowers, Tatum Bethune, Marquis Siegel, Jair Brown, Sebastian Valdez, all that over 30. Chaz Surratt, Jacob Robinson, 26. Evan Anderson, 25. And it went down from there. So most snaps on the offense. Nick Zakel was out there for 57. Connor Colby, 48. Spencer Burford, 48. Matt Hennessy, 37. Mac Jones, 37. Jake Tongas was a tight end that had the skill player that had the most snaps. Jake Tongas, Russell Gage, Robbie Chosen all had 36 and 35 for Robbie Chosen. Austin Pleasance, 29. Luke Farrell, 28. Isaiah Prince, 28. Keyshawn Vaughn was out there for 27. Jeff Wilson was 23. Demarcus Robinson, 25 snaps. So that's for how the snaps are kind of balanced out. Looking at the stats, Brock Purdy had a nice game. He was, completed 5 of his 7 passes, 66 yards. Carter Bradley was out there, completed 8 out of 13. Mac Jones, 13 of 16. So pretty good showing by the quarterbacks. Running backs, it was Keyshawn Vaughn had 9 carries, Jeff Wilson Jr. 8, and then Patrick Taylor 4, Corey Kiner 2. Man, the running back room is injured. So I also heard from Matt Maiocco that they brought in some wide receivers to try out. No huge names, but Nate Sudfeld was the quarterback who threw to them. Maybe he's in the mix to be back as a practice squad quarterback. Not sure. All right, so that's the deep dive into kind of the stats and the PFF grades. The 49ers have Monday off. They're going to practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, and then game Saturday night. So that's the schedule for the week. Let me know if you have any questions about the game or any other stats that I can look up for you. Please let me know. And I hope you're all well. Happy Monday, everyone. Hope you all had a great weekend and enjoyed the 49ers game. What a fun game. A huge roller coaster. Jake Moody has that 59-yard game winning field goal. I think it's great for him to kick under pressure. The one before that to have the game tied and then the game winner. So, hey, Jake Moody's position to lose. Talk to you soon.